with the opportunity for a Hollywood finish will take the 250.
Phoenix, there they go, down to the bottom, 4 or 5 wide. Let's see if they can all keep it together. But Jacob Barker.
Remember last year when they ran the Weenie 500, they streamed it on YouTube, on their YouTube channel? They're bringing it to TV this year.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this month's charity race presented by iRacing, Stadium Scene TV, and Smoky Mountain Racing. We have the Gen 4 Homestead-Miami Speedway for the track. Gen 4 race cars should be a lot of fun. We are doing the full distance 400 miles, which is the 267 laps on this mile-and-a-half track. Should expect a lot of good racing here because a lot of different lines you can run at Homestead-Miami. It tends to be one of the driver's favorite tracks to go to. Run that high line, you can rip the fence, or you can run on that bottom. Should be a lot of fun. Great event too, just hosting for the number 16 Forever charity, which we'll hear a little bit more about that here in a bit from one of the hosts, Jacob Barker. So stay tuned for that whenever that rolls through. Right now we have about 7 minutes left of this extra practice session. These drivers just got done doing their qualifying runs, and so now they're going to come out here and practice just a little bit longer just to fine-tune some stuff. So we have that going on in about 7 minutes. That should end, and we should get to some racing. Solid field here tonight, very reminiscent of the early days in Wednesday Night Dash. Expect these drivers to stay pretty close together, but you might see some crazy strategy calls, especially later in this run, to try to get laps back or try to jump some people on pit road. As I did mention earlier, it is 400 miles, so expect a lot of green flag racing here. We do have cautions turned on, but you never know what can happen on this style of track. We go ahead and take a look at that track info. Homestead-Miami Speedway. It's located in Homestead, Florida. This is the 1.5 mile configuration. Definitely not running the road course by any means. Pit stop, it is 45 miles an hour pit road speed, which is pretty standard, all things considered, whenever we come to these mile-and-a-half tracks. But you can go typically pretty quick and probably put a driver a lap or close to 2 laps down whenever you do come down pit road. So important to note that whenever we see drivers start to make their way down pit road. Tire saving will be the name of the game, especially in these Gen 4 cars. A little bit higher horsepower than we're used to in the modern series. So should be cool to see how squirrely these guys get. There is a decent amount of downforce still present in these Gen 4 Cup cars, but expect them not to have quite the rear stability that we're used to seeing in the Gen 7 cars or the truck cars that we are currently running on the Wednesday Night Dash side of things. For this race, we're going to go ahead and pull up the chat feed for anyone that wants to comment. You'll see it there in the top right corner. Feel free to interact with the chat. If you are joining us live, welcome. Should have a pretty good one, pretty long one, but pretty good one for you all to enjoy tonight. As we have just about 4.5 minutes left of the open practice session. Right now, Colton Gardner in the 8 car leads us at the top of the boards, with Jacob Barker following second. That's Wesley Fuge in the 68 third. Ryan Tripp in the number 28. Another Fuge brother there in the 61. Another Fuge brother in the 19. JP Jones there in the 4. And it shows Dawson Buchanan as a 7, but on track he is rocking the number 18. So keep that in mind as we view around these drivers on track. And we are now joined by Jacob Barker. Jacob, I did a little brief introduction, but overall should be a very good, exciting race for everyone here involved. I was mentioning it's a little reminiscent to the early days of Wednesday Night Dash with a tighter field. Should make for some interesting action as we kick things off. But you want to tell us what we're racing for here?
Yeah, so we did a similar event back in December. We basically did a snowball derby, our own snowball derby, which raised money for Toys for Tots back in December, right before Christmas. And the same week that the same weekend that we were planning to do that event on, 2 days before we did that race, Greg Biffle was unfortunately killed in the plane crash. So Colton and I came together like right after that, said we want to do something for the Biff. We were originally going to do a next gen Daytona race around the weekend of the Daytona 500, but we decided to push this back to April to give us a little more time to prepare. And since Homestead was one of Biffle's best tracks, if not his best track, probably aside from Michigan, we decided to host it here and do a full-length Homestead race in the Gen 4 cars, because that's when he practically owned this track from about like 04 to 2006 or so. And we also agreed to raise funds for the Lake Norman Humane Society in honor of Greg Biffle, because that was where he did most of his humanitarian work before the events of Hurricane Helene, which affected those of us who live in Western North Carolina, such as myself, Wesley, Connor, Chris, Cole, JP, Braden, and he did tremendous work for helping all of us in the community of Western North Carolina after the tragic events of Hurricane Helene. So this is what we're racing for. Yeah, obviously we're going to have some fun, but we're racing for a bigger picture tonight. We're racing for the Biff, when we're racing for a good cause, and raising funds for the Lake Norman Humane Society. And for those of you who are watching, I hope that you all enjoy the show. I know it's a smaller field, but we are going to do the best that we can to put on a great show for everyone tuning in. And there is also a donation link in the description. If you want to send a donation, Colton is accepting donations, and we'll be sending those funds over to the Lake Norman Humane Society shortly. Whether I believe it'll either be tomorrow or Monday, once we figure out the numbers. And yeah, so like I said, racing for fun, racing in honor of Greg Biffle, and we're raising funds for the Lake Norman Humane Society.
Should be a good time tonight. Definitely important to race for a cause. Makes all the difference whenever we see the iRacing community come together and support a legacy that he left, and especially a legacy that he left here, specifically at Homestead-Miami. But great cause. We appreciate you all for hosting this, everyone over at Smoky Mountain Racing and Blue Ridge Racing. We do appreciate it. And hopefully you all can put on a pretty good show for us tonight.
Sounds good, John. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. And that was Jacob Barker, one of the 3 guys that have helped put this whole entire event together. We thank him for his entire service to get this thing rolling tonight. Speaking of rolling, all these drivers will start gridding. Dawson Buchanan did win the qualifying stint, so expect him to start P1 for today's race. Drivers have gridded up, so we're going to go ahead and pull him for a quick interview. We'll see if he's talking to us. Dawson Buchanan, this is John Miles in the broadcast booth. You got me? Well, we're starting P1. Can't get much better than that. Front row seat to the charity event race tonight. Gen 4 cars, not what we're used to racing, especially on the Wednesday night dash side of things. So a little bit different, a little squirrely in the back perhaps, but tell me, what's the strategy to keep this thing green and get to the checker flag?
Strategy. Hopefully keep the tires on this thing, keep all 4 fenders on it, and cross the finish line first. That's the strategy tonight.
Now you'll have to educate me because I actually have no idea. Do you have any fast repairs available, or is this just however clean you can keep it?
Let's see, we got 255 fast repairs, so I guess I can throw some haymakers out here, but
why not?
Try
Throw
to
a
keep it
couple
clean for the most part.
Might as well see what you got for that 8 on your outside line. 18 cars looking pretty good. Let's see if we can keep it out front. Good luck out there.
Yeah, sir. Thank you.
That was your pole sitter, the number 18 of Dawson Buchanan. These cars are about to get rolling here. The pace lights are off on the pace car, so expect them anytime now to get rolling. Getting a little heat in their tires. I actually joined as a driver, so you can see my name on there, but there are 8 drivers, should be 8 drivers competing in tonight's event. Right now, it appears Connor Fuge is on pit road, but expect the rest of these guys to get going here pretty soon. Pace car is off as the drivers enter the restart zone, and the green flag is out. We're racing at Homestead-Miami. Early jump here in the 4 car. I'm used to saying the 4 car and the 18 car. Sorry, we're used to 4 on Wednesday side of things. The 18 gets clear for the moment as these drivers start to get it figured out. It's important to note these drivers do not have a lot of experience when it comes to these Gen 4 cars unless they did some practice on their own. It's a very different style of racing that we're used to compared to when we normally race on Monday or Wednesdays, whether you catch us, and there's a little contact behind us, but whether you catch us on the IndyCar or the bottom split side of things or the Wednesday night dash side of things. There's a little closer battle there, as you can see the 61 of Chris Fuge. Still working on getting that pass done. As you can see, there's still a little side-by-side action going on right now. Back towards the front, the leader has cleared by about half a second. You can see Jacob Barker in the 2 does close the gap just a tiny bit within that top line. You can see he's about half a lane to a lane higher than the 18 car is willing to run. While down below you can see that 8 car has stuck back to the bottom of the track, trying to save just a little bit more tire. Let's take a look at that 8 car. Great scheme right there, very reminiscent of the number 8 scheme that Dale Jr. ran. Pretty clean looking throwback, if I do say so myself. A little bit farther back, we have a side-by-side battle right now between the 68 of Wesley Fuge and the 61 of Christopher Fuge. As the 68, they get it sorted out, and the 68 is under attack from the 4 a little bit farther back. Back towards the front, the 2 of Jacob Barker has closed that gap just a little bit. But right on his tail, not too much farther behind him, about the same distance really, is the number 8 car of Colton Gardner. A lot of good racing so far as these cars start to get single file. A little bit farther back, Wesley Fuge is starting to Still a little under fire right now, as JP Jones is now under fire in the number 21 car. It's reading 4, but on the side we're going to go with 21 car is under fire from the 28 of Ryan Tripp. Ryan Tripp is a rookie in the Wednesday Night Dash side of things, as he does get by right there. Rookie on the Wednesday Night Dash side of things. We're excited to have him as a regular here in the league. We'll have to see what he can do in these Gen 4 cars. Back to the lead, that M&M's Chevrolet has pulled away. Not by much. He's maintaining right now about 0.5 of a second. And the caution lights were flashed there. We'll have to see what that was about. Looks like the 28 might have gotten into a little mischief. Let's see if we can't find a replay of that. Presented by Stadium Scene TV. We'll have to take a look. Looks like he just got loose on corner exit of 4. Very easy to do. Like I said, that back end wants to just come out and slide a little bit. We're back to live now as the drivers. We are still under caution. Driver's going to find that pace car, get this thing woed up just a little bit. As the 18 waits on the pit, waits for the exit of pit road for the pace cars. You can see right now entering your screen to pass them. I'll be curious to see what we see right now for strategies when it comes to tires. I do believe they have unlimited sets of tires as well as unlimited fast repairs. I'll double check that with whoever we drag into the interview next, but we'll go ahead and watch this battle off of pit road to see how well they do. As pit lane is opened up, we'll go ahead and take a look at the entrance. We'll see if we have any takers. You'll see them fly by on our screen any second now. Do we have any takers? 18 pit. And he might be all by himself. Not a very busy pit road. You'd have to imagine that right now. He's going to check to see what his tire wear looks like. If any at all, just kind of give him a measurement for later in this run. It does put him towards the back of the field as he comes to a stop in his pit box. We'll have to see, though, how well he manages making his way from the back to the front. He does take 4 tires here. Back towards the front, the number 2 has taken the lead for the time being. A little curious to see what their tires are at, but we'll hold off on interviews just for now. And while we're holding off interviews, go ahead and make a quick little announcement. I've mentioned it a couple times, but it's important to note Wednesday Night Dash has opened back up. We are in the Truck Series right now, heading to St. Pete for the one road course of the season next week. Never had a road course this early, but should be pretty exciting to see how well these drivers can do turning left and right. Just wrapped up Atlanta Motor Speedway. Very good race. Well worth a watch. The replays are available on YouTube. A lot of fun battles, a lot of wrecks there at the end. Wasn't really sure who the winner was, but right now, who's currently leading the race, the number 2, that was your race winner. For the Wednesday as well as Tuesday, and on Tuesday we had the Indy Racing World Series. That was at at Las Vegas. Jacob Barker taking the win there as well. We'll see if he can't get the trifecta here as he tries to go for the 3rd win of the week tonight. Pace lights are off on the pace car. Have to imagine he'll be turning in this time by. As drivers near the restart zone, they've now entered it. The 2 gets rolling, but the 8 has a great restart on the outside as well. They remain side by side going into the corner. We'll have to see how far the 8 shoves it in as he tries to hang on that right rear spoiler to try to bring some of that air back. But the 2 does a great job of carrying momentum through the bottom of the corner, getting the 8 clear. Now the 8 is a little under fire from the teammate in the 61 of Chris Fuge. A little bit farther back, the 7, or 18, sorry, of Dawson Buchanan has made his way up a couple positions now. Started dead last, but now working on JP Gen. Now goes to the bottom of the track. But you can see that momentum the top side just carries, even on older tires. Can still somewhat maintain as the 18 is forced to tuck in just for the time being as he sends it down low once again. But right now we have a battle for the lead as Colton Gardner is working on the number 2 to try to get this past them. But you can see that momentum on the high side is going to allow the 2 to maybe hang with him. Right now the 8 has him clear, but barely. The 8 ships it in pretty deep, drifting up the track. Classic slide job maneuver as he gets to pass them. The 18 has made his way up to 4th place. Reminder, he does have the freshest tire, about a second back to our bottom of the podium sitter in the 61 of Chris Fuge. Back towards the front, Colton Gardner has cleared by about 0.4 of a second. We'll have to see how well he can maintain that lead. A little bit farther back, the 18 is still the one to watch right now as he has shrunk it by about a second, maybe less than a second, as he comes up on Chris Fuge in the 61. We'll have to see how hard he pushes. How many laps they can make it to on fuel is something to consider. Tires should become an issue before we have to worry about fuel, as this track is kind of known to burn them up just a little bit more than most tracks. Oddly enough, that you can actually save some tire ripping the fence, but you have to be right on the edge of that, of hitting it to get that tire saving. You get similar to just running the bottom of the track. A lot of drivers don't opt to do is you hear a little contact out in front of us. There's a little beating and banging there. I'm not sure who that was. I believe it was the 2, as we now see the 61 working on the 2. Not sure if there's a car parked down there or what they were swerving for, but '61 right now has the pass complete as he does clear the 2 and give himself quite the gap as he starts to hunt down the 8. That has put the 2 right in the clutches of those new tires. You can see a little bit there behind us in number 18 as he starts to now hunt down, who's about half a second to 0.6 of a second behind 3rd. Back out front, clean air is king as they continue to race pretty close to each other, but even farther back in the field between 5th and 6th, Ryan Tripp still about 0.6 of a second ahead of JP Jones. Big slide there, the 28, as you can see. That will eat up that right rear, so be interesting to see how well these drivers can maintain their tires and position at the same time. Not a lot going on for the leaders. He continues to have that clean air, but a little bit farther back. Jacob Barker is now under fire from the 18. Let's see how long he can hold on to this position. Eighteen's looking underneath. Won't really get the pass done this time by, but expect that 18 to ship it. Just absolutely ship it onto the bottom of the racetrack. This next time by coming out of 4. Expect that dive bomb going into 1. 61 must have had a little struggle there because they just brought both of these cars right up to each other. As the 18 now takes a dive inside. This battle for second has absolutely heated up. As you can see the 61 there. 2 gets back by the 61, so the 2 has retained second. But the 18 now sits outside of the 61. We'll have to see if he can get that pass done. He does get the pass done. It must be problems for the 61 as he continues to fall back. Might have been some wall contact we missed, quite possibly, but now the 28 is also about to get the pass done. Not seeing anything from this point of view, but quite possibly could have bent out a toe link that we missed, and that's causing the car to drive not ideal, to say the least. As the 18 with the freshest tires continues to work to get by the number 2. Meanwhile, during this giant scuffle, the 8 has pulled away by about 3 seconds. Very vintage, what we're used to seeing out of that 40 camp on the Wednesday side of things. Feels like, I can't remember how long ago, maybe a year or so ago. Less than a year, a couple seasons. But the driver of the number 8, Colton Gardner, is very good and had a lot of experience pulling away from the rest of the field. Something that we had to deal with on the Wednesday side of things for quite a while, as he kind of put belt to butt for a couple seasons there. As the 18 of Buchanan has cleared for the time being on the number 2 of Jacob Barker. A little bit farther back, Christopher Fusion, the 61, is still under fire from the 28. We'll have to see if the 28 can get the pass done. A little bit ahead of him, 2 got in the wall there. You can see the smoke coming up. Killed some momentum. 28 continues to work down that 61. A lot of racing lines there. You can see that all 3 of those drivers are running different lines. The beauty of Homestead-Miami. So it tends to be a fan favorite for the drivers and the fans. As the 28 continues to battle the 61. Got him cleared that time by. We'll have to see if the 61 sends it. Little checkup there. You can see when those pipes, when the flames come out of those side pipes, that is them coming out of the gas, whether that be to make the corner or not rearing the guy behind him, either way. These Gen 4 cups are very unique in the sense to where you can kind of see they're a little skewed out on what would be the driver's left-hand side to help with the aero balance of the cars, just because they're turning left a whole lot more than they're turning right. Not something you normally see at the super speedways. They have a different package for the super speedways, as they're a lot tightened up, more even. Both the left and right side is not as much skew in them, but for these speedway configurations, you can see that left side does stick out a little bit farther than that right side. As the 28 continues to try to get by the 61, this right now is the biggest battle on track, as the 2 Jacob Barker is trying to pull away from this battle. 28 gets in the wall right there. You can see the sparks. Delete the chat feed just for now, just so we don't miss anybody around that high line. Still side by side. We'll have to see. These guys are great clean racing so far. 28 goes high. We'll see if the 61 can get the pass on. He does appear so. 61 pulls ahead of 21. 28's going to have a little bit of a run here coming to him. He sends it back to the inside. These drivers just trading lines right now. Great battle. It's important to note, we'll look at it in just a little bit, but the 18 car in second has closed the gap to about 2 seconds. So over the last 10 or so laps, he's shrunk it by about 9/10 to a second. You have to wonder if Colton Gardner's saving it all to try to mitigate those newer tires, or how hard the 18 is pushing here. So still the best battle on track we have right now as these two continue to go at it. Anyway, 28's going to have him clear for the time being. Take a look back at that lead. The gap has shrunk now to less than 2 seconds. But while we have you here, we're going to go ahead and give a little talk about the Garage Talk podcast. Join FR Racing's Eric Richardson and DJ Fluck for an all-new episode of FR Racing's Garage Talk. This week they break down Ty Gibbs' first Cup win, the chaos at Long Beach, and Ian Miller's dominant run last week at Long Beach, plus sim racing struggles, gear talk, and the future of Las Vegas. Watch now on YouTube or listen wherever you get your podcasts. As the 8 has pulled away by a little bit now. He's kind of maintained, kind of jinxed him right there, but he was maintaining about 1 second, 1.7 seconds ahead of the 18 car behind him, but the 18 continues to put a little bit faster laps down. We'll have to see how much he can keep up with that. He might have been pushing a little bit harder than most. You'd also have to imagine that pit stops might play a factor before the 18 can get to him. Those green flag pit stops, whether it be for tires or for fuel, depending on how long you stretch it. The 18 continues to wrap that notorious line around the bottom of the track that he's known for, wrapping on the Wednesday side of things. It doesn't matter if the top line is obviously the faster line. You will find him on the bottom of the track most weekends. It's kind of his favorite approach to most races, and seems to work for him. He now has shrunk that gap to under a second. A little bit farther back, Ryan Tripp has pulled away from Christopher Fuge by quite a bit now. Over a second he stretched that gap. You have to wonder if Fuge was fighting damage at all. It's very possible that 61 car was fighting damage and then just had to put in more wheel into it to get the car to turn, which just meant more tire wear until eventually the fall off was a little too much. Now has fallen to about 1.5 seconds behind the car in fourth, Ryan Tripp. Still a decent gap for Ryan Tripp to the number 2 car of Jacob Barker. We do see him in the wall right there. To imagine he's going to lose some momentum. This Fuge has dropped it now. Ryan Tripp has dropped it down to about a second. But the real battle to look for right now is back towards the front, as the 18 has shrunk it to under a second. You can see there on the left-hand side, the number 8 car has come into view. Not too much farther ahead. You'd have to imagine pit stops are coming in about 10 to 15 laps. If my guesstimate is somewhat correct. That'd be based, those numbers are kind of based on the current Cup car though, so bear with me, those numbers are probably a little skewed from these Gen 4 cars. It's important to know when that 18 did come in for tires, I assume he topped off with fuel as well, so. Ooh, as he gets in the wall a little bit behind us there. That'll allow the 8 of Colton Gardner to pull ahead just for now. You can see those new tires are starting to really show their wear, or the lack thereof the wear, as the 8 is starting to struggle to find consistent speed. It's about half a car length, a little bit higher than that 18 car. It's the 18, you can notice, every time he's coming off 4, he's getting a little loose. That time there was no contact with the wall, but the lap before that there was. Makes me think that car is still fighting loose as that back end continues to come out. It's kind of what you want in the long run though, if your car continues to stay loose and build a little tighter, if it can remain neutral at the end of a fuel run. Generally speaking, that's a pretty solid sign for the balance of your car. Should be easy enough to make adjustments on it, to tighten it up if need be, but loose is typically fast unless it's wrecking loose, so right now if you're the 18 car with those, I don't know, 5-lap newer tires, we'll have to see. As he makes a dive to the inside of the 8, side by side. I'd have to imagine a low line to the start of the corner. As you can see, the 18 does take that low approach. We'll have to see if he can clear him on exit. Will he throw the slide job? Doesn't do it yet, but I do believe he will slide up in front of the 18 with that momentum of the 8 just not going to be enough. As the 8 has slotted himself back to the second position. We'll keep an eye on him just for a little bit to see when these pit stops are coming. We are 42 laps into this cycle. Like I mentioned previously, the only one that has the freshest tires is the 68, has come to pit road. Misses pit box just a little bit. Looks like the 2 has made his stop as well. One lap down, but he has made a stop as Wesley Fuges is now rolling out of pit. Currently will be scored 1 lap down, but I'd have to imagine on newer tires they shouldn't have much of an issue getting by the leaders. We'll just have to see where they are in relation to the leaders. As right now it's scoring the 2 as about, oh, I don't know, give or take, they're on just about opposite sides of the track, looking at my track map right now. So as the 2 comes across the start-finish line, the 7 is just now halfway down the backstretch. So the 2 is gaining time on him, knocking off those times as we continue to go by. Christopher Fuge has now made his pit stop as well. You can see him just now exiting. In relation to the rest of the field, he is sitting about, not too much behind, as the 28 looks like it's on pit road right now. 61's going to have a lot of time to make up, though. More than the rest of them. As we have several more cars, there is the 28 of Ryan Tripp getting his 4 fresh good years in the Spotify number 28. Coming out of pit road now. We'll have to see where he merges. Right now the leaders, another car on pit road. It looks like the, not quite, but it looks like right now the 7 and the 8 are right now rounding the front, turn 1, entering turn 2 now, so 28 will get clear and not go 2 laps down, just will maintain 1 lap down. Pitting early, or short pitting as we call it here in the NASCAR world, is typically how you gain some spots. On the short run, you should be able to jump at least some time, maybe not positions, but jump some time on the people ahead of you. As it sits, only 3 cars are on the lead lap. JP Jones running this stint a little long. He was towards the back of the field. You'd have to imagine he's staying out hoping for a caution to try to jump some people, as he is 20 seconds, now 28 seconds off the pace. As he enters turn 1, the leaders right now are crossing the start-finish line, if that gives you kind of an idea of where they are. We'll have to see how long the leaders want to stay out. Back towards the front, the 18 has put about 3 seconds on the car behind him, the 8 of Colton Gardner. Just a matter of time before Colton comes in and pits. Just in front of the 18, we're going to see, there goes the 21 of JP Jones as he does come down pit road this time. The 8 staying out. A little sideways coming into the pit box, but now the jack will go in, tires, new set of tires will go on. As the 8 starts to lose more and more time, you can see those tires are just starting to give out. You'd have to imagine this next time by, he probably will be coming. As he goes by, really come down pit road this time. Isn't making it so far. Nope, might go one more. I'm not sure entirely what the strategy is, but guess we'll have to wait and see. As the 18 of Dawson Buchanan has now put about 5 seconds on second place. Everybody else has already served their pit stops. Just be a matter of time, see where they cycle out whenever these 2 guys come to pit. It's important to note, like I mentioned earlier, the 18 can go just a little bit longer than the rest of the field, just because he did come and pit during that first caution. Right now your third place enter does sit 1 lap down, but like I said, the rest of the field still has to pit. 28 sitting 4th, 61 just behind him sitting 5th. It's our closest battle on track right now. And then 2 laps down is both the 68 and the 21. We'll keep the camera on the 8 car of Colton Gardner as we wait for him to make his scheduled pit stop. Have to imagine it'll be coming anytime now, as he has put 56 laps on the set of Goodyears. As the 68 of Wesley Fuchs has taken another pit stop. Not sure if there's damage there, quite possibly. But nonetheless, he's coming in for tires. You see the 21 car is 2 laps down. He is on those fresher tires as he starts to go by the 8 car. 8 car slowed his roll by quite a bit, and here he comes down pit road. His pit stop's got to be pretty quick. No mistakes under green. We'll see how good his pit crew came to play. Looks like behind him the 68 has parked it. Great stop by the 8 though. Four tires and a lot of fuel to get there, as you saw. He does come off pit road now. The 2 has passed him. As I mentioned earlier, this is when you can kind of get those passes done on those other cars by pitting a little bit early. You have those fresh tires and putting down faster laps. Looks like the 8 is not going to struggle too much, as he's just now rolling off pit road with the 28 a little bit behind him, but 8 put about a straightaway on him there. And the 2 has put about a straightaway on the 8. Matter of time now before we see the 18 start to come in. I said he's a little off sequence in the rest of the field. We'll have to see what his plan is. He'll probably push these tires so they're bitter in and try to keep these cars 1 lap down as long as possible in case there is a caution. You can kind of trap those guys a lap down. We wait for the 18 to make his scheduled pit stop. It's important to note, we're looking to build up our bench of broadcasters here on Stadium Scene TV. If you're looking to break into broadcasting for the first time, we'd love to work with you. Right now, we're currently building up the bench and have fill-in opportunities throughout the summer and fall, and future opportunities to become the regular voice of the series as we take on additional leagues in the future. It's important to note you must be an active member of iRacing and own the necessary cars and tracks, but we will provide all the training necessary, and the broadcast opportunities are paid. That pay does vary based on the series and the length of the broadcast. To learn more, apply at scenemedia.group/broadcasters. As we now have the 18 car pulling into his pit stop. It's a little far back in his box, but iRacing's going to take it. We'll have to watch that too on pit road to see where he is on track in comparison. Looks like he's exiting 4 right now as the 18 gets rolling. You can see that time start to shrink in the background. Doesn't look like he's going to get the pass done. not, but the 2 car is right there. Never mind, new leader. The 2 of Jacob Barker does steal the lead from the 18 for the time being, but he does have about 12, 15 lap older tires. A bigger deficit than we saw at the first part of the race. As you can see, that slide's already taken place. Right now, if you're the 8 of Colton Gardner, this is exactly what you want to see. You want to see these guys fight for as long as possible, but it doesn't look like it's going to be much of a fight as the 18 clears the 2 going into exiting 2. If you thought there was a discrepancy the first time around, it was a lot bigger one this time. First time the 18 only had 6 to 8 lap newer tires, if I remember correctly, somewhere in that range, whereas now he's got quite a bit bigger of a gap. As he's slow on the front stretch, might be damage. Let's pick the speed up just a little bit. Not sure if he just had a bad exit there or what went on. After racing with him for quite some time, we're proud to have him under the Jam Motorsports banner. We've had a couple times though, if everyone remembers correctly. Actually, the last time we were in the trucks, not this season, but the last time we were in the trucks at Bristol Motor Speedway, he had an incident where his shifter disconnected. Shout out Fanatec. But they've had some issues before to where it's caused him to struggle in some of these races. So very possible technical malfunction there, but he does get back by the 2 car. C18 assumes the lead. All these cars are back on the lead lap. JP Jones might have stayed out. I'm not quite sure if he's even pit yet. I don't believe so. It's a little bit farther back we see that 18 car still out there, so I believe the 21 is still waiting on that caution flag. He's just going to lap down the old-fashioned way. He might have pit. I could be lying to you. He might have pit. Nonetheless, the 8 car, about 6/10. As you can see, it's continuing to climb. It's got about 4 or 5 lap different tires than the 18, which is similar to the first run, but it's important to note the 8 had clean air during that first run, and the 18 had to start from the back. This is a tale as old as time as we watch the 18 and the 8 car fight it out, kind of in a league of their own right now. We're used to seeing it between the 40 and the 4 on the Wednesday side of things, but a common battle. These two are around each other a lot of respect inside the garage as well, and outside the garage. Between these two drivers, both champions in their own right, both multi-time champions in their own right. I believe Colton, don't sue me if I'm wrong, but I believe Colton's a 3-time champ. Dawson Buchanan, with this past Rosanna Dash Series, being a 5-time champ. As Christopher Pugh just put down the fastest lap, as you saw it flash on screen there. He is 2 laps down though. Gonna need a couple cautions to make this thing interesting. Not positive if there's a competition caution in play for this race. It's quite possible. Probably should have read the rule book a little bit better, as we hear somebody in the wall behind us. Might have been the 2 car. Only 4 cars remain on the lead lap. About a 6-second gap between the 2 car there of Jacob Barker and 28 of Ryan Tripp. About a 5-second gap between the 2 of Jacob Barker and the 8 of Colton Gardner, but Colton Gardner now sits about a second and a half behind the leader in the number 18 car. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the number 18 car, but we're going to do a little bit of Turn It Up section presented by Stadium Scene TV. And that was your Turn It Up segment presented by Stadium Scene TV. Took a little lap around the rest of the drivers to kind of see what they were doing. Right now only 4 cars remain on the lead lap, with number 28 currently leading the field. Taking a look at the 61, we'll go ahead and give him a ring. A little unorthodox, but we're going to go ahead and drag him mid-race. See what he's got to say.
Oh,
driver of the 61, this is the broadcast booth, doing a little unorthodox, but we're pulling you in mid-run. How's the car feeling right now?
loose. I've got 17 laps on the set of tires, and I've been overdriving. Yeah, I set the fastest lap. Not sure how I did that, but no, we're just trying to hold on to it. Some temperatures going down, the car should tighten up a little bit.
Do you have a preferred line right now as the track currently sits? You running more of the top, running more of the bottom, or just kind of trying a little bit of everything?
I'm just trying to park it on the bottom of the corners. I mean, I'm 2 laps down, so I'm just trying to keep it together. But if I can park it on the bottom through the corner, I find that I get a little bit better of a run off. It's not snapping so bad, and probably take a little better care of the tires too. But yeah, the bottom lane or right on that first seam on the bottom is where I want to be. The car seems to like it, so I'm happy there.
It sounds like a handful, especially probably what we're normally used to on the Wednesday side of things. I missed having you as a racing partner there on Wednesdays, but happy to see nonetheless you're having a lot of fun, it sounds like tonight.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely miss. Ooh, almost lost it there. Definitely miss having you on Wednesday. That was a hell of a race. Hopefully we can get the rest of this Limited Night Dash season under control and rein it in a little bit.
Yeah, a little unorthodox too. We're heading to the road course for the second race of the season. Normally it's a little bit later.
Week
in the season.
2.
Yeah, week 2 with no extra week for practice. Tell me, what's SMR doing to get ready for that? Or are they not even thinking about it yet?
Oh no, we've been thinking about it. We've been thinking about it as soon as the track was as soon as they put the track in the sim, we were just trying to get laps in. Of course, as you know, Hunter's our resident road course expert, so we're just trying to use his SMT data and figure out where we can make time, where we're losing time, and I don't know. My road course goal is always just keep it on the asphalt. Well, luckily this St. Pete, there's no grass to go through. Everything's got a wall on both sides, so we're gonna see what happens. Not sure on my confidence level. I guess we'll find out Monday night when we go into practice. But as long as I can keep it off the wall and on the racing surface, I've got a pretty half decent chance, I think, of maybe a top 5, maybe top 10. I don't know if Ian Miller shows up. That's gonna put a little damper on it.
Yeah, he seems to have a good knack for that road course racing stuff. Not only my forte either. Mexico City might have been a fluke, so for me, but yeah, it's almost refreshing in a way, in my opinion, to get the road course knocked out early to kind of focus ahead. But we go from a road course. Do we go straight to a super speedway after that?
I think it's Daytona and then Texas. Or it might be Texas and Daytona.
Texas,
but
Daytona,
it's one,
as we have it pulled up right now.
Yeah.
I'd double check myself, but yeah.
One of those, and then Rockingham after Daytona or something like that.
New Hampshire, going short track racing after Daytona.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, a lot of short track, should be a whole lot of fun in the truck series. Happy to see you returning for yet another Wednesday Night Dash series, and hopefully you can have a strong truck season.
I sure hope so. Hopefully we'll see you out on track soon. I know we're all missing Jackson in the booth and missing you on track, so looking forward to it.
Looking forward to a little bit of normalcy. We'll talk to you maybe here a little bit later in the race.
All right, cool deal. Thanks, John.
Yep, we'll see you. That was Chris Fuge, driver right now, as we can see on screen, of the number 61. Currently 2 laps down, but just trying to find some new stuff, find some new lines, and see what the car can do for him. He is a regular on the Wednesday Night Dash side of things, as we flashed that schedule a little bit earlier. We'll pull it up one more time so you all can take a look at it. Heading to St. Pete, as we said, double header between IndyCar and the Truck Series as we start the St. Pete trials on Tuesday before we switch over to them on Wednesday. Make sure to catch some people that are doing double duty. There might be some of the Wednesday Night Dash guys going over there, such as Matt Faust. Expect Ian Miller to do the double as well. Maybe Tyler Lugo Vickery. Hunter Hughes for sure in the 18 car. Expect to see him there as well. See if anyone can do what Jacob Barker did this week and get the double back-to-back night wins. One of Chris Fuge's other accomplishments that is definitely worth mentioning. On Mondays, every other Monday, we run the Bottom Split Racing Series. This week we went to little unorthodox. We went to Rockingham. Really good short track racing there as Garrett Jarnigan gets it done in the number 32 car. But as I mentioned earlier, Chris Fuge is a seasoned champion in the Bottom Split Racing Series, just doing a part-time schedule this series. Try to give some of those younger guys, newer guys, a little bit more on-track time. As we have somebody pitting, it looks like it might be the 8 of Colton Gardner. He's rolling off pit road now. Does go a lap down. Back to being a lap down. As the 28 is now coming out of pit road, or into pit road, sorry. Took a little unorthodox entrance. We're seeing him pit right now. As we are on lap 93. Not entirely sure what the complete strategy is. As we see the 18 continue to log laps. With the 18 staying out, he will be the only one on the lead lap as more cars continue to pit. As you heard from the 61 car, there was a little bit of drama there at the end of the Wednesday Night Dash Series race at Atlanta, Old Atlanta, the 2008 configuration. Really good race nonetheless, just a lot of chaos there on the last lap, which caused some drivers to get penalties. Nonetheless, great finish. Really great race altogether. Definitely worth checking out. You can do that at the Stadium Scene YouTube channel. As you can see, this is currently broadcasting on. Just go ahead and click that user icon, scroll down the videos, and you should see all of our past live streams there. As you can see, the 21 car right there, right in front of the leader, pulls off pit road as he starts to head down pit road to get 4 fresh Goodyears. Back to Colton Gardner on track in comparison to the leader right now is the 8 enters turn 1, the 7's about halfway down the backstretch with the 2 right on his bumper. Take a look at that 2 car. Now 2 laps down, but right in front of him, as you can see there, the 18 car. So 2 has those fresher Goodyears. After pitting again, we'll have to see if he can do anything to hold this 18 up. All those cars are still 1 lap down as the 18 is now about halfway down the backstretch. This is the 8 enters turn 1. A little farther throughout the field, the 28 about too much farther behind. You can see that's the potential battle right now for position. Not the 21. The 21 is on newer tires, but the 61 and the car behind him, which is the 28. A little bit farther back, as you can see, he's just now exiting. He hits the wall a little. 28 of Ryan Tripp, trying to chase down the 61 of Chris Fuge. Big gap there too. The third place car. There's a 23-second gap to Colton Gardner there in the number 8. '18, because of that early pit, still has the freshest set of tires every time he comes out on track. Quite a heads-up play, if I do say so myself, to make that call to put himself at the rear of the field, but have those newer tires kind of just be on offense for the rest of the race. As 100 laps have passed by, over a third of the way through this race, we'll have to see if any cautions cause these drivers to stack up. Maybe we might see competition caution be thrown. As right now the battle on track is between the 61 and the 28. It looks like the 28 has gotten around him. He's now put about a second on 61 of Chris Fuge, and that gap continues to increase. Does a good job of rolling that corner. Take a look at the number 8 car. We'll go ahead and try and see if we can't steal him for an interview as he tries to track down the 18. Colton in the number 8 car today. This is John Miles in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Well, like I said, a little unorthodox. Pulling you mid-run. Hopefully I don't mess you up too bad, but right now you're going to have to try some new strategies to try to beat the 18 car, as he kind of has the fresher tires, or has for a little bit. What's the strategy right now as you continue to try to track him down?
Right now, it's just trying to get to lap 130, and maybe I can try and jump him by then, before the halfway break, and hopefully it'll work out in the end, and I can get my lap back. Big risk right here. Hopefully no cautions come out.
How have the tires looked? You've spent more time on pit road than at least the guy in front of you, so has the tire wear been as bad as you thought it's been, or has it been pretty manageable?
I wish I could save the right front a little bit better. Car's just driving tight for me, unfortunately. But maybe as the night goes on, it might try and loosen up a little bit, hopefully.
Funny enough, your teammate in the 61, Chris Fuge, said the exact opposite. His car's driving pretty loose right now, losing the right rear, and he's hoping it tightens up as the track continues to cool. Do you all have different setups by any chance, or is it just different lines that you're running that causes the different tire wear?
I mean, everybody should be in a fixed setup, but I think it's mainly just driving styles and how everybody's trying to attack the corners. I know a number of my guys are overcharging the corners, and they're royally burning their right fronts up, but it's best to just let that car coast on in there and let it do what it want to do until it rotates to get it off the corner.
I asked the 61 an earlier question, but we kicked off the Wednesday Night Dash series with some people having ups, other people having downs, but we're heading to a road course, which is odd for us for the second race of the season, but I asked him what his prep looked like going into a road course like that. Let's see if you have a little bit different answer. What does the prep look like for you heading next Wednesday?
Well, I'm hoping that I can get a good a bit of time in and practice a good bit for it. It's a new road course to the service, and I don't really know too much about it. I've not done a whole lot of laps there, but all the laps I've done have been a lot of fun. I've worked real hard on my road course racing over the years, and I feel like I've gotten better, but I know I'm not anywhere close to say like Hunter Hughes. But my biggest thing is just keep all 4 tires on track and don't wad it up in one of the corners and ruin the race, because we ain't got no cautions in those races.
No cautions in those races. Something else to note too, that's something we'll be dealing with behind the scenes, is there isn't an official fix set up to my knowledge. I don't think they posted a new one, but there isn't an official fix set up for this upcoming race on the road course. Do you think it plays that big of a role, or since everyone's on the same ground, it's kind of a new man's game?
I feel like it is going to play a role depending on what setup we are going to be running, because there's different types of road courses, and as long as we get, I think we'll be okay if there's like another street course setup for the truck. That'll be able to, I guess, have the same gearing. I think it comes down to having the right gearing into the corners and down the straights and everything, because if that's off, then a lot of people's shift points are going to be off. But it should be a very interesting race, to say the least.
Interesting nonetheless. Just want to pick your brain on one more question. If they were to hypothetically release the track setup for next Wednesday, like a day before the race, would you be in favor of switching to that a day before the race, or kind of just run what we've been running?
I would run what we've been running, honestly, with what practice we've already had. I think having to relearn if people have practice might be a little rough for some of the group.
A little rough, and like you said, with no cautions and a tight street course, not a whole lot of runoff opportunities. Might see a little beating and banging. Colton, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for what you're doing tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. That was the number 8 driver, or the 40 if you watch him on Wednesdays, giving us a little bit of time and spreading some of his knowledge on the upcoming race. It looks like the 18 of Dawson Buchanan is going to try to run this thing long. We'll have to see if he decides to come in and pit. Highly doubt it, as we have about 15 laps, as you heard Colton Gardner say on lap 130. We will be throwing a competition caution to try to stack this field back up. So if you're Colton right now, you're going to do everything in your power to try to get that lap back, so you can pit with the leader. Otherwise, the leader's going to get a free caution, free set of tires, while everybody else takes the wave around. The 8 would get the lucky dog in theory, putting him back on the lead lap. If he can't get the lap back the old-fashioned way, unfortunately that will start him at the rear end of the field. A lot of cars to go through at that point. Shouldn't take too long with the cars being on older tires, but still something to consider as the track continues to get darker and darker. Not just the rubber being laid down, but the outside temperature, as well as there is a car on pit road there. I believe that might have been, it was the 18 now coming to get tires. We'll have to see if the 8 can make up that gap. Interesting strategy call. I'm not sure if the 18's even aware. He might not be aware that the competition caution is coming out here pretty soon, as he probably will lose the first position to Colton Gardner, as Colton Gardner has dropped it to under 3 seconds. 18, a lot of fuel to get. There he goes by. has moved to 3 cars on the lead lap. We'll have to see if Ryan Tripp can get back by the 8. I don't know if he'll be able to. But new leader of the number 8, that strategy call, as you mentioned earlier, did pay out pretty big dividends. We'll have to see if the 2 can stay on the lead lap as the 2 starts to exit turn 2. He's got to stay ahead of Colton Gardner for about 14 laps here. It's going to be tough, though, as those new tires continue to work in. About a 5-second gap back to the 18 car who just came in and got new tires. Interesting strategy call. Not completely sure if he's aware of the competition caution coming, because I'm sure he'll come and get fresh Goodyears anyways. Here in about 15 laps. Less than 13 laps, I'm sorry. At lap 130, we should be seeing that yellow flag whenever the leader takes it. Maintaining about 4-second gap right now on the leader of the number 8. The 2 is hanging on for dear life right now. As not too much farther back is that number 8 car. We'll have to see if he can hold on for 12 more laps to keep himself on the lead lap. That would be huge. Not only for himself, but also that would be huge for the 28 to be the first car a lap down and get that lucky dog, putting him back on the lead lap. Then Chris Fuge would be the next candidate who only sits 1 lap down, as it looks like he's coming into pit road. He might be getting new tires here and then staying out at the competition yellow. That could be his strategy, to have somewhat new tires and only be a lap down. Be my best guess. I have to be careful to make sure, though, that he stays ahead of the 21 of JP Jones, as JP has passed him on track now. Gap to the leader has shrunk by about 2.5. As the 2 car continues to try to make hay and stay ahead of the 8. 8 isn't too much farther behind him. As you can see, that is the distance. We can get a little bit wider of a camera angle. Let's try TV3. There's the gap. You can kind of see it. If you go ahead and hop in the chopper, you should be able to take a look at the distance between the 2. Let's get a little bit farther back in the blimp. There's a good gap between the 2 and the number 8 car. 2 trying to hold on to the lead lap. But the best friend right now of the 2 car might honestly be the number 18 of Dawson Buchanan, as Dawson continues to close in on the 8. The 18 might catch the 8 before the 8 can catch the 2. We'll have to keep a close eye on it, as you can see a little bit farther up. The 8 is struggling. Sun came out a little bit, as you can see it brightened up just a bit into turns 3 and 4, as he has to hang on for 7 more laps. Right there on the outside wall, that is the fastest way around this place. That 8 car is trying to put him a lap down here. But right behind him, this 18 car has closed the gap. If you're the 8 car, you're trying to just get away for the time being. Try to make this pass as clean as you can. Might get a 3 wide pass here. We are 3 wide. The 18 makes the move on the 8, gets him clear, slides across his nose, and gets a 2 for 1 in the same corner as the 2 is up into the wall. 2 now being the first car a lap down. Ryan Tripp is 10.5 seconds though behind the 2 car, not what he wanted to see, as the 18 and the 8 are now the only cars on the lead lap. I'm told by my higher ups, everybody will be afforded a lead lap position on the competition caution at lap 130. So expect an extended caution period as we get all that sorted. Four laps to go before we see that competition caution, as Dawson Buchanan continues to stretch it. It's now 2 seconds on the number 8 of Colton Gardner. Valiant effort in the number 2 car for Jacob Barker to try to stay on that lead lap. Unfortunately, fell short by about 5 or 6 laps. Brian Tripp a little bit farther back, has closed the gap a little bit, shrunk it to under 10 seconds now on Jacob Barker, with JP Jones a lap behind him and Christopher Fuge about 26 laps behind JP Jones, or 26 seconds, I'm sorry, behind JP Jones. Wesley Fuge back out on track, but 2 laps behind Christopher Fuge in the 61. We'll stay on the leader here as we have 2 laps to go, I'm sorry, at the line before we see that competition caution come out. Sneak in a quick plug for the Showtime Esports Manager. Today's race is presented by Showtime Esports Manager. Showtime Esports Manager is a comprehensive platform designed to simplify and streamline the management of esport leagues and tournaments, from scheduling and registrations to standings, results, and automation. It replaces spreadsheets and manual processes with a centralized, easy-to-use system. Manage your first league or tournament for free at ShowtimeEsports.com. It's important to note all the fancy stuff you see on screen right now is provided by Showtime Esports Manager. Makes it super easy for everyone to just streamline their process for broadcasting if they want to try to tackle a league by themselves. With that being said, Dawson Buchanan does cross starting laps 130. Expect the caution flag to come out anytime now. Should get it the next time by. Dawson Buchanan takes lap 130. Caution flag will fly this time by. There it is, right on schedule. Like I said, expect a longer caution flag period as drivers try to get back on the lead lap. We will let everybody cycle back to the lead. Imagine those lead lap cars of the 18 though and the 8 will try to come in and get some fresh good years as the 18 tries to catch back up to the pit car. There's the pace car rolling off. As the cars wait to line up behind them. halfway through the race. Everyone's going to get back on the lead lap, get some new tires. Should be able to apply what they learned in those first couple of runs, that first half of the race, to see what they can apply for the second half. It's important to note, some of the drivers are talking about it. They're hoping when the sun goes down, the track gets a little bit darker. Expect the track should tighten up as more rubbers put in and the sun goes down. Shouldn't see as much loose cars, so it'll be important to watch, see how well those cars handle the tightening up of the track, as we saw and heard from the 8 car, outside the 40 car, but the 8 car, it'll be important to see how well he can manage that car. As he mentioned, it was running a little bit tight throughout that run, so we'll have to see if he can make any adjustments, whether it be his driving style or whatever, to see how well he can do. Just about everyone coming to get tires, just because they know they're going to be cycled back to the lead lap. 18 with an excellent stop off pit road there. The 8 is still sitting on pit road. Not entirely sure what's going on as he gets rolling now. Gonna be a little bit of waiting as we wait for all the cars to cycle back to the lead lap. Hunter, I'm just now seeing your comment. With that, I'm going to go ahead and pull the rest of the comments onto the broadcast for everybody to enjoy. Yeah, it's a little wild seeing the 4 in the 18, or Dawson in the 18, where that is normally your number to run. I guess he's a fan, what can he say? But a little unorthodox, not only seeing the 18, or the 4 of Dawson Buchanan in the 18 car, but also seeing that 18 with a Chevy badge on the front of it as well. But he's always been a child at heart, the 4 car that is. Or Dawson Buchanan, I'm so used to using those terms interchangeably, but Dawson Buchanan's always been kind of a child at heart. Big Kyle Busch fan, still is a huge Kyle Busch fan. And when the opportunity presented itself to run an 18 and the M&M's car together, he wanted to make sure he took full advantage of that. See all those cars continue to cycle through. Just continue to try to get everybody back on the lead lap. So we're getting close to having everybody back on the lead lap. Just a couple more cars to cycle through as you see them fly on by. But we should be getting pretty close here to getting this thing back rolling. Little, about 125, 30 lap shootout by the time we get this thing rolling again. See if these drivers learn anything. We'll see if we can't grab the 2 car, pick his brain a little bit. Jacob Barker in the 2 car. This is John Miles in the booth. You got me?
Yep, I got you.
Well, we're about a little over halfway now through the race. Kind of learned what the car is going to do on a longer run, on a shorter run, a little bit of everything. Tell me what you're going to apply after you learn from the first race and what you're going to apply to the second race.
I'll give you a Cletus McFarlane answer. All gas, no brakes. No, but in all seriousness, the track's going into a complete 180 change right here. It started off a little tight. Now it's starting to get a little loose off the exit of the corners. So I mean, it just depends on how hard everyone pushes. I feel like we've all figured out what our groove can be, what our run can be. So I mean, we'll see what happens. Obviously, Dawson and Colton are the class of the field. So I had to lead there for a little bit, and I thought we were going to be doing pretty good, but I'm not sure what happened after that first caution there. Whether I just didn't have the faith in the car to do what it needed to do, or what. But yeah, no, it's been fun so far. It's always a good time at Homestead, and I hope everybody's enjoying themselves watching it.
Sounds like everyone's having a good time. At least Hunter for sure is in the comments talking about how Dawson stole his number 18. But before we get to that, you talked a little bit about how your car seems to be trending loose, whereas the 8 car right in front of you said the opposite. He said he was trending a little tight on the longer run. Is that more just a driving style thing, or just who's sliding their tires into what corner?
I think it's all the above, because if you miss corner entry, it's going to start trending tighter. And, if you start spinning the rear tires, obviously at the exit of the corner, it's going to start trending loose on the exit. So, like I said, it could be a number of things throughout the run. And if you're, buying another car, dirty air could also be a factor. Not so much as the Gen 4 cars compared to like the next gen or the Xfinity car, but yeah, like I said, it's a variable of things.
Sounds good. And on this restart, I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk back to your SMR. Boys, good luck in the second half of the race.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Yep. That was Jacob Barker in the number 2 car. We'll have to see what he has for the second half of the race as we are about to get rolling. The 18 car will lead us to the green flag. The pace car will go off this time by. As you can see him roll on by as we enter the restart zone. Great jump there by the 8 car. Has the 18 completely cleared. 18 struggled to get going. We'll have to see if the 8 can get him clear. He does. Having struggles getting back going. That's now the 2 car of Jacob Barker side by side. As the 8 car tries to check out here. 18 gets the 2 clear for now, but right on the bumper as the 2 now moves to the inside, forcing the 18 to run probably a little bit higher than he's used to running. As you can tell, he was at the bottom of the track for most of that last run. As you heard from the driver interviews we've had so far, kind of a mixed bag of emotions when it comes to how their car's feeling. Some drivers saying their car's building tight, other cars saying they can't quite get the throttle down because they're so loose on exit. We'll have to see what drivers make adjustments when it comes to braking zones and what line they're running. As Dawson Buchanan there has just knocked out the fastest lap of the race. Still got some work to do though to catch the leader. As we hear a little bit of contact there behind us. It might have been the 2 car just trying to rip the fence, see as much speed as he can out of the car. Fastest lap that time by was the 8, first place of Colton Gardner. As the laps continue to clock on by. Right now Colton Gardner's standing pretty steady at about 6 to 7 tenths per lap ahead of Dawson Buchanan. Right now Dawson kind of has his hands full with the 2 car. Right behind him and not too far behind the 2 is the 61 of Chris Refuge, who we talked to a little bit earlier today. Ryan Tripp in the 28 after being put back on a little bit of slide there, but after being put back on the lead lap, you can see we'll have to see what he learned from the race, or that first stint, the first half of the race before the competition caution. Have to see what he's learning and what he can get out of it. Looking back at the fight for, really the fight for second. As we're coming up on the fight for third, more realistically. As Christopher Fuge has closed that gap to Jacob Barker. Right on his back bumper now. There's a bit there where Barker was working his way up towards the front. He was trying to work down the number 18 of Dawson Buchanan, but now looks like he has his hands full with the number 61. If you're Ryan Tripp right now in the 28 behind these 2 cars, you want to try to stay as close as you can. Maybe get a 2 for 1. The 61 hits the apron a little bit there. Probably will kill his momentum on exit. As we reach into the mini fridge right beside the racing setup, as you can hear by the cold crack here any second, this race is going to be halfway sponsored by Busch Light as we get through this thing. 61 now side by side with the 2 car. We'll have to see if he has anything for him. You can see he's trying to run that second, third groove as he slides up the track. Does get the pass done. We'll have to see. He's put a lot of heat into that right rear tire as you saw him slide through the exit of 4. But move Chris Fuge in the 61 to P3 for the time being. Does have about a second and a half before we get back up to second place in the 18 car. Right now Colton Gardner still leading the rest of the field. I feel like, just now taking notice, but I feel like we have seen Colton Gardner in dang near every manufacturer besides Chevy, or besides Toyota now, as he drives the Monte Carlo Chevrolet for the charity race. Probably quite possibly for the Dale Jr. throwback, but we've seen him on Wednesdays drive both Ford for every series except for the trucks that we're racing right now. He does drive the Ram, the Dodge Ram. So he has opened up the gap just a little bit by about 1/10 of a second that last time by. We'll have to see if he can maintain that, as Jacob Barker has gotten by Christopher Fuge, who's dropped all the way back to 5th. Let's take a replay and see if we can find what happened. We'll have to see. At some point he was ahead of this pack, both ahead of the 2. This is a ways back. I must have missed something. There we go. Quite possibly hit the wall. We'll have to see. About loops it. That exit saves it. Incredible save, but has to come way out of the gas to make sure that thing doesn't come around on him. Does get back by the 28. And about loops it again. Might just be bad luck as we're calling this out. Man, oh man, that car seems to be a handful. One thing after another, as I can imagine it becomes kind of difficult after you just smoke the right rear like that. It's becomes so sensitive to the heat, where any bit, it's a finer edge before that thing starts spinning out again. As now a sizable gap has formed between the 28 and the 61, about 7/10. Quite a bit, as it does look like the 68 of Wesley Fuge has parked it for the race as he sits there 9 laps down. Colton Gardner still maintaining his lead. Has stretched it quite a bit by about 8/10 now, peaking on 8/10. Mentioned earlier, we are sipping on some Busch lattes. Also make sure to pick up, I know right now the trend is to do the apples. Whole lot of Busch apples out right now, definitely pick those up. But I'm sipping on the regular one, Bass Pro Shops edition, # sponsored. Have to say that or I get in trouble. But cool can to sign nonetheless. Tastes pretty good on a Saturday night. As Colton Gardner continues to pull on Dawson Buchanan, now stretching it to over a second. You can tell just by looking at the background. If you take a look around just the track in general, you can see it's gotten a lot darker. As the sun continues to set, it's going to fade into a night race here as the sun continues to go down. We'll have to see how the drivers can handle that. Head back to the leader. Now 1.7 seconds ahead of the 18 car. Quite a bit of racing left, but it seems like the 8 car has found something. We'll have to see what he can do with it, but right now the big battle is between JP Jones and Christopher Fuge, as both the 28, the 61, and the 21 are all kind of eyeing each other down, all of them within under a second between the 28 and the 21, a little bit farther up. As the 61 does go by the 28, as 28 gets a little loose on exit, they will have to see if he dives it back on in. Little wall scrape there as you see the sparks fly. Seems to get it figured out though as it continues to roll on by. Huge slide there at 61 as he saves it. He's moved up to 4th, but you can tell that car is fighting loose right now, especially on the exit of 4. Safe bet would be to slow his pace down just a little bit as he has the gap right now. Just gets cool those tires off just a little bit. Maybe run the bottom and be a little patient on exit, but it's a tough sell right now. But the toughest seller right now is probably for the 18. So he's now 2 seconds behind the 8 car of Colton Gardner. The 8 car just seems to have figured it out late into this run. Said his car was running a little tight in that first run, but it seems to be running pretty solid for him right now. As we're coming up here pretty shortly on 100 laps to go. Nobody's gone a lap down yet besides Wesley Fuchs, who has decided to park it. Other than that, everyone still is on the lead lap. Ryan Tripp right now, as it sits, is about on the opposite side of the track, but he has fallen all the way to the rear, getting passed by both the 21 of JP Jones and the 61 of Christopher Fuge not too long ago. Chris Fuge is kind of an uphill battle right now as he is closing the gap, but he has about 2.5 seconds before he reaches the next car there of Jacob Barker in the 2, who has about a 9-second gap to the second place car of Dawson Buchanan, who, as you can see, has quite a bit of a gap, now 1.7, to the race leader of Colton Gardner. He has had, he being the 18 car there, has had a little bit faster lap the last 2 laps. Both of those laps being about half a tenth to a tenth of a second faster. We'll have to see if the 8 car adjusts his line accordingly to try to save a little bit more tire. As you can see, that gap continues to close. Closest battle right now is still between the 28 and the 21 by about a second right now, but as you can see, there's still quite a distance between the two of them. This gap is barely shrinking, not by much, but it is shrinking a little bit every single time we go by. The 18 being just a tiny bit faster, but not too much faster. That last time by it was a little under a tenth a second. Gap has continued to close, but not by much. They doing a great job of saving what he can here to see if he can't make it to a fuel stop or a regular scheduled pit stop. The 8 did previously mention trying to stop early to see if he can't gain a little bit more track position on the 18 car, but I'm not sure he expected to take the lead either, coming after the start-finish line right on the restart. He did a great job getting a good jump to get by the 8. Or I'm sorry, to get by the 18. So maybe his strategy might have shifted just a tiny bit to see if he can't try to run this thing as long as he can and force the 18 to be aggressive. And then the 8 be on the longer strategy call towards the end of this race. See if he can have some newer tires by the time this thing gets towards the end. So you gotta stretch it now to back to almost 2 seconds now. Put down quite consistently faster laps those last 3 times by. As the 18 continues to fade, you have to wonder if there's some wall contact involved there. Still a 2-second gap. Drivers have kind of maintained that the last couple times by. Seems like the 8 has really found his footing. The bounce of that race car really coming back to him. Seems to have loosened up just what he needed it to do. As the sun continues to set here in Homestead, expect the speeds to pick up, especially when these drivers get new tires. This Ryan Tripp has now gone a lap down. Colton Gardner being the first one to put him a lap down. I can imagine JP Jones still quite a bit ahead. Would expect him to be the next one to go a lap down. As JP now enters turn 3. Colton's happening in the backstretch. About 7 car lengths in front of the next lapper, but I don't believe we've talked to the driver of the 28 yet. Let's go ahead and see if we can't grab him and steal him.
Skip the dishes, ain't really good, I don't remember.
Ryan, sorry to steal you mid-conversation, but this is John Miles in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, I believe this is the first time we've had the pleasure of talking to each other. So happy to finally meet you and talk to you in person. I guess not really in person, but the closest thing I guess we can get to it. Just went a lap down, but seen some solid pace out of you fighting between several of the cars out there tonight. How's the car feeling as the track continues to get a little bit darker?
Car feel is getting a lot tighter up the last 30 laps or so since comp caution, or almost 40 now. This car's just absolutely slowed down drastically. So or fighting the different line, trying to figure out what this car exactly needs for the remainder 91 laps we have left, because this car is currently not happy with me.
I'm sure it's very different than what most of my drivers are at least used to, whether that be They drive very different than the Cup cars, the trucks, or the O'Reilly Series cars, but is there any similarities or anything you can take from this and maybe apply to your Wednesday Night Dash career?
Absolutely, coming from definitely from the standpoint of line, the tracks, maybe if I'm fighting a tighter car or conserving wise. I know these cars are very loose on corner exit here, so that's definitely something I can look forward to in the learning. Other than that, I find it's very similar to late models. They do run a lot of late models compared to most any other series. So other than that, yeah.
Well, I won't distract you too much on your pit stop here. Good luck for the rest of the race.
Thank you.
That was Ryan Tripp there in the 28 car as he comes to take a pit stop. See how the rest of the cars look. Looks like Dawson Buchanan has shrunk it back down to a second and a half, but those pit stops will be coming anytime now, so we'll have to see what the game plan is for those front runners. As right now, Christopher Fuge is still on the lead lap as well. He hasn't taken his pit stop quite yet. The two just gotten off pit road, so he has scored one lap down, but has those fresh good years, so let's see what kind of time he can make up on the leaders. I'm expecting to jump a couple cars maybe. As we see Dawson Buchanan continue to run. Gap continues to shrink, not by too much, but kind of steadied out here at about 1.3 seconds. A little bit faster the last couple laps by, but we'll have to see where they all end out. If you're the 8 car here, you've done a great job of managing that gap back behind you, but also done a solid job too of managing the couple cars in the lap traffic that we've had to deal with. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if the 8 car comes in early, or if he tries to stick it out a little bit long to have that tire advantage on the 18 car towards the end of this race. As the gap does somewhat shrink as we continue to log these laps, now down to a second between him and the 18. I'd have to imagine the strategy will shift 180 if the 18 gets by the 8. If the 8 can continue to hold the 18 out there, I'd have to imagine the 18 might short pit to try to gap him. And the opposite could be said. If the 8 gets past, the 8 might try to short pit to see what kind of time he can make up with those fresh good years. With the pace they're running right now, I'd have to imagine that they'll be similar on laps on when they come to pit. You'd have to imagine that they might play follow the leader here too. We'll take a look at the 61 car. He is the last one being scored on the lead lap. As he's halfway entering turn 2, about to exit turn 2, you can see him there. Just as a heads up, the 8 car is currently exiting 2, as the 61 car who we were looking at earlier, he's exiting 4. So about a straightaway apart from each other as we sit. Pit cycles should go all the way through before we have any problems. It's telling me on 178 we had a little bit of a crash. We'll go ahead and take a look and see what we missed. Big crash it looks like. Gets loose on the exit of 4, overcorrects back up into the track. Gets the car back rolling though, no caution. As he does make it to pit road and stay up. All the other cars. See, he's still parked on pit road. Not sure how many fast repairs they have. They might have unlimited, but if they don't, he might just be done for the day. The gap between Chris Fuge and the leaders has kind of stayed the same. Doesn't appear that the leaders are going to be able to put him a lap down. As you go back to the 8 car, he has maintained staying about 1 lap to the good right now. Maintained about a second, 0.8 to a second on the car in second place. It looks like we have pit stops going by for the 18 car. That's what I was talking about earlier. He's going to try to short pit, see if he can't put some laps down on those fresh tires. See what he's got for him. Other cars aren't quite going out. Looks like Chris Fuge has also elected to come pit. As he gets rolling, we'll see if he passes the 18 car. It does look like he will. Colton Gardner does elect to stay out. See where he cycles in comparison to the 18. Now you can see the 18 coming out of pit road. Christopher Fuge, who's now the first one, now 2 laps down. He'll have to get in front of the 8 car to be 1 lap down and try to stay as the 8 car now. This will be the battle right here between the 8 and the 18 to see who can win this battle off pit road. I'll go ahead and pull up that track map for you. As we take a look, that 8 car currently, as you can see, entering his pit box as the 7 has just entered the backstretch. Now halfway down the backstretch. You can see that ticker continue to go down. And then taking 10 seconds as the left side tires are going on that 8 car. 7 now crossing by the start finish line. Appears he is going to inherit the lead here, as he also hits the fastest lap. Not a whole lot the 8 can do there. Does have about 1 lap fresher tires, but he now also has a 3-second gap that he has to whittle back down. He does seem to be the faster car in this second stint. We'll have to see if he can work that lead back down, or if that clean air is really king here at Homestead-Miami. As we continue to watch the 18 car roll on by, we're going to go ahead and make him this race's guinea pig as we take a look inside his cockpit and see if we can't drag him into the broadcast booth. Dawson Buchanan, this is John Miles in the broadcast booth. You got me?
Yep, we got a copy.
Well, looking pretty good representing JM Motorsports right now, I'm not going to lie. Good solid pace out of you. Seemed like Colton Gardner had a little bit more pace as there's caution flag out. What could this be about? You know what? We're going to have to kick you out for a little bit and figure out what's going on. We might talk to you later.
Oh, bye.
Alright, we'll see you. Well, that was short-lived. Trying to figure out what's going on here. Not quite sure. Session event said just cars driving slowly. Not quite sure what happened there. We'll take a look and see if we find anything. Nothing out of the ordinary. There it is. .28 just fighting the car, but I can't imagine that causing any big events. As we have all the cars but the leader electing to pit. So now Dawson Buchanan's going to be at quite a disadvantage as he does not have fresh tires compared to the rest of the field. Almost an exact opposite situation that he dealt with at the start of the race. We'll have to see how this plays out with about 70 laps to go whenever we come back to take the green flag. Well, Dawson, we grabbed you back. You still got us?
Yep, 10-4.
Well, now it looks like you're the only one without fresh tires. Only one that elected to stay out there. Don't have too much wear on them, though. It was only like, what, 4 or 5-ish laps, so shouldn't be too big of a deficit, but you can have to imagine with about 60 to 70 laps left to run. Had to imagine some over-aggressive moves here, so how you feeling right now?
Well, I feel like I had the wings of on the bald eagle tuck that last run, but we're out front here, and hopefully we can do this one for the Biff here and get a win.
Can you imagine coming in for tires again, or is this kind of what you got for the rest of it?
I think if we run 30, I'll come in. I mean, I got to pit again for fuel here, so probably be taking tires one more time.
Alrighty, good luck out there on the restart.
10-4, thank you.
Sounds like fuel might be an issue. The drivers, I can't imagine the other drivers going to make no fuel either, so we'll have to see when the next round of pit stops is. As the pace car rolls off, they enter the restart zone. Green flag is out at Homestead-Miami. Great jump on old tires there by the 18 as he does clear the 2, sliding all the way up to that high lane to maximize his entrance into the corner as he already starts to go back to that bottom lane to save as much tires as he can, as those drivers behind him do have about 5 laps tires. Big Show right now is a little bit farther back to fight for second place as the 2 car slides at the track just a little bit, killing that exit speed. The 8 car following the 18 all the way through the corner. We'll have to see if he can pull a slide job and clear the 2. It appears he's going to do so, but expect that crossover from that 2 car. Not quite the momentum he was looking for as he slots in behind the 8. Only 4 cars in the lead lap here. As the 61 there brushes the wall, but he is your 4th place sitter. 2 cars have retired from the race, both the 21 of JP Jones and the 68 of Wesley Fuge, as you see his car bounce in and out. Back up towards the front of the pack. These cars have pretty much leveled out for the most part as we cycle through, with Dawson Buchanan maintaining a gap over Colton Gardner by about 0.3. As that track temperature continues to decrease, this feeds more and more into the 8 car of Colton Gardner's wheelhouse. As he mentioned earlier, it's just making his car more and more loose, which for him is what he needs to gain a little bit more speed. It's a beautiful exit right there as he maintains with the 18 of Dawson Buchanan. Got it to under 0.2 right now as he's right on the back bumper. Little wiggle there out of the 8. Although these Gen 4 cars don't have quite the downforce we see in the modern series between all three, both the Cup O'Reilly and Cup Series cars, still is a little downforce in play, especially whenever you slide across the nose of the car in front of you, going from a lot of downforce to 0 downforce. Can oftentimes swing your car from loose to tight back to loose, so that wiggle you see out of the 8 there, that's more than likely what that's coming from. Just by taking a look at these front bumpers of these Gen 4 cars, a lot flatter, not quite as aerodynamically sound as you might see out of the modern Cup cars in the Generation 7. Expect that to lead to higher downforce, at least on the nose of your car, but those spoilers also providing quite a bit of downforce, but can lead to some handling issues later in the run. This is still your closest battle on track. Right now about 0.4, a little bit farther back, is the battle between the 61 and the 2. But outside that, all eyes forward for the 8 car as a Dale Jr. throwback continues to try to work down the 18. Tale as old as time as Dale Jr. tries to track down Kyle Busch. History oftentimes repeats itself. Like I mentioned earlier, on the Wednesday side of things, when they're rocking the 4 and 40, these drivers tend to be around each other more often than not towards the front of the field. Colton typically has a pretty strong showing as well in the truck series, that being one of his better cars that he runs on the Wednesday side of things. Weird race this past Wednesday between all the penalties and the big wreck there at the end, but expect him to bounce back pretty strong, both at the road course, but especially back when we get back racing to the ovals. As the gap has steadied out at about 0.2 seconds. A little bit farther back, Jake Barker has his hands absolutely full with the 61 of Chris Fuge. Chris Fuge has elected to run that higher line these last couple of times. That time diving a little bit deeper towards the bottom of the racetrack. A lot of racing left though to wrap this thing up. Still 60 laps to go at the line. So still your best battle on track right now, as the drivers are going to be, should be side by side on exit here, as the 61's going to get a great run off that top. Might try to go low this time by. Does appear he will. Tries to wrap that bottom lane, but the 2 with a great run up there at the top of the track. inches away from the wall, but you can see the momentum you get coming out of turn 2. Ryan Tripp right now in the 28 just kind of needs a caution at this point to get back on the lead lap. He is stuck 1 lap down. Definitely not impossible by any means, but gonna need a little bit of help. Quick glance back at the lead. 2 battles right now. This battle right now is about 2 to 3 tenths, but this battle back here definitely tighter than the one to watch, as it's down to under a tenth. This Fuge taking a peek at the quarter panel inside. Will be at the door. We'll see if he can do the slide job. Slides it just a little bit. Right in front of the 61. Slides it on the right in front of the 2. Both the cars in the wall there on exit. I'm sure the 2 isn't overly happy about that slide job, but cooler heads will probably prevail at the end of this thing. We'll have to see if Christopher Fuge can pull away as the battle for the lead continues to heat up, maintaining at about 0.2 of a second. The 18 gets a little better run off turns 4, but the 8 seems to be diving it in a little bit better on the entrance of both corners. As you can see, he pulls close to him, but that run the 18 gets a little loose there. Has to come out of the gas to save the car, which allows the 8 to pull side by side with him. Expect a dive bomb to the inside. There it goes. To the entrance to the corner. 18 can't ask as much out of his car as those tires have heated up. He does rip the fence. They're going to be side by side at the line. Scored Dawson Buchanan the leader of that lap, but not by much. Less than 1/10 of a second. It's important to note, as we mentioned earlier at the start of this run, the 8 does have 5 lap fresher tires than the 18. As the 18 continues to run that high line that he is probably not super familiar with, as he's spent most of today's race on the bottom of the racetrack. But I'm sure the 8 knows that as he continues to take away his preferred line. The 8's almost getting a 2-for-1 special here, arguably a 3-for-1 special, as the 18 prefers that bottom lane. The bottom lane also saves more tires, and the 8 has newer tires. 3 things to take note of as he continues to fight side by side with the 18. That top line is faster, but just one tiny mistake, you clip that wall, you slide your tires, come out of the 4, and it does more harm than good. He has led the last couple of laps. The 18, that is, coming to the start-finish line. But eventually these tires are going to start to show. The 18's going to need a big mistake or big wobble out of the 8. Or might have to slot in here pretty soon, or he might be in trouble on the longer run. He did mention something about having to pit for fuel. He won't be able to make it the whole distance, so expect that pit stop by my calculations to be in about 15 or 16 so laps, coming around lap 230. As these cars continue to fight side by side. No one moving or giving up an inch. You can see that bottom lane moves ahead of the top lane on the entrance to the corner and rolls center a lot quicker with just the straight line speed you get after ripping the fence on the exit of turn 4. It really seems to give the advantage at the line. As we see this time by as well, that top line does prevail coming to the start-finish line. And make no mistake, these drivers are definitely taking notes of something like that. Just as we get later in this run, If you have to pick between the top or the bottom of the track with 1 or 2 laps to go, expect the preferred car to take the top line. Still side by side. 18 barely had him clear that time by. That gap is already starting to shrink though. The 8 might beat him this time by. As those tires really start to work in. It's pretty deep that time by. Still won't be quite enough. The 18's in the wall. That will forfeit the lead. As the 8 car now has pulled almost a second on the car behind him. The good news for the 18 car, as you can see them a little bit farther behind, is now he can run that preferred line on the bottom of the track. As he instantly goes back to his bread and butter. The bad news is that gap is now 0.7 of a second. And we've seen what that 8 car can do with clean air. You have to imagine that if you're the 8, you want to check out as much as you can. Try to stretch that gap. Laps continue to wind down. 220 laps down of the 267 laps. We'll have to see if Colton Gardner can hang on to the top position. It's important to note all drivers should have to take one more pit stop to make it on fuel. We're not quite in the window yet. Expect drivers, if they want to really stretch it, to start making pit stops the next 5 or 6 laps. But then their tires will be screaming for help by the end of the run. So the 18 claimed he'd be making a pit stop around 2:30. We'll have to see if he stays true to his word. He has closed the gap on the 8 car. So you might see what he has for the 8 before he makes the pit stop, but nothing too crazy going on for the rest of the field. As Christopher Fuge is about 3.6 seconds behind our second place driver and the number 18. And another 4 seconds back from him is Jacob Barker. Ryan Tripp still has a great pace right now, just staying right behind Jacob Barker there. He has the number 2 right in front of him, but unfortunately, like I said earlier, he is still trapped 1 lap down, so he will need a caution to get back on the lead lap and have a chance, as the 2 is in the wall right in front of him. Back towards the front, the lead has shrunk to under 0.3 of a second. We'll have to see if the 18 has anything for him, as that gap continues to shrink. A little slide there out of the 8. You have to wonder if that car is starting to trend back the other way, starting to trend back tight. Looks like it didn't quite want to turn. It looks like he put quite a bit of wheel into it to get a turn coming out of 4. As the 18 gets in the wall again, all that time he had Had it down to about 2 to 3 tenths, and now he's stretched it back out to 9 tenths. Just goes to show just one mistake would be very, very costly. He tried ripping the fence there a little bit. Try to get a little bit more momentum coming to the line to try to possibly make a move on the 8 car coming into turn 1 or maybe on the exit of turn 2, but unfortunately if you scrape that wall it just kills your time. Not to mention damage on your car starts to add up, so already shrunk it down to under 7 tenths again, but you're going to have so many shots at it before your tires just give way. 3 laps away from the hypothetical pit stop. We'll have to see if he does commit to it. As you can see right there, he is loose coming out of turn 4. If you stay on your leader, this is still the closest battle on track. But that 28 has done a solid job of keeping the 2 car of Jacob Barker right in his sights. As we go a little bit farther up, you can see him there, ripping that high line. And still an 11-point gap to the 61 car of Chris Fuge. Dawson Buchanan is struggling on the exit of 4. We'll have to see if he goes back to his bread and butter there at the bottom. He does for 1 and 2, but it seems to have commitment issues whenever it comes to running that bottom line in 3 and 4 as he nails the wall coming out of 4, or coming out of 2 right there. You have to wonder if there's any right rear suspension damage. And that was quite a hit as he continues to bounce off the wall entering 3. Mental warfare to say the least. You have to make sure you don't psych yourself out ripping the fence. But right now, the 18 continues to try to track down the 8 car. Right now, though, he's just maintaining that 8 tenths of a second gap. Unfortunately, every time he smokes the wall, that gap just continues to increase. Surprise guest in the broadcast booth. We're joined by JP Jones. What do you got to say about the race so far?
I think the track is real tough. Car's slick. It's pretty fun for those guys out there tonight. I've been dealing with some leg issues, so I had to drop out.
You're not wrong about the good battles right now up front. It seems like these two keep trying to trade back different racing lines to see what works best for them. Still have a pit stop coming up though. Here in a couple laps as the fuel window, or the pay window is open. All the drivers, if they pit now, should be able to make it on fuel. If you were in either one of these cars scenarios, what would you do? Would you pit early? Would you pit late? Be on offense or be on defense?
Pitting early is good. How many laps are left? 35?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about 35 or so.
Yeah, but the tires wear out so fast. It just, it's hard to say.
Yeah, you almost want to just do the opposite of whatever the guy in front of you does, and so we'll have to see how that works out for him. But right now, Dawson Buchanan has dropped that gap to about under 3 tenths of a second now. The last time he had it this close, though, he smoked the wall coming out of 4 and just killed all his momentum. So we'll have to see if he can see what he can do.
I've drove a lot with Colton. He's possibly saving tires. He's good for doing that.
Yeah, it's quite possible. I don't want to, can't jinx him by any means, but He's ripping the high line, which is very unorthodox compared to what he normally does. He's very loose coming there out of turn 4. That high line does seem to still be paying dividends as the faster line, but you'd have to imagine it does burn a little bit more tires than just wrapping that bottom groove.
Yeah, the bottom is the place to save tires.
The gap has shrunk now to under 0.2 of a second as the 18 continues to try to rip the fence. It's a great job that time by of ripping it. There's that huge run coming out of turn 4 as I'm right on the back bumper of the number 8. Side by side, the 18 sends it to the inside, trying to steal back that bottom groove. The 8 should have the momentum though coming out of the corner. No, a little slip up from the 8 there. Now side by side entering turn 3. 18 slots back in, goes back to the high line as the 8 goes back low. The 8 seems to be a lot more steady with the wheel input and the throttle input. We'll have to see if the 18 was saving any tire, or who knows. We should be coming up on pit stops here, so if you got any tire left, now would be the time to use it, try to get any advantage you can. I'm not sure what fuel situation the 8 is, but I know for a fact the 18 cannot make it on fuel, as there's a huge block down there to the inside. The 8 did not want to give up that inside groove. Still side by side going down the backstretch. '18 is forced back high. We'll see if he can continue to rip the fence without making contact with the wall. It's a great job that time. With that momentum, new leader 18. And after the 8 car, it's a matter of when do I short pit to try to see if I can't jump him on pit road. You have to imagine that clean air. It's going to pay dividends for the 18, so let's see how long the 8 stays out before he decides to elect and make a pit stop.
I believe Colton's coming now.
I believe you're right as he's rolling down pit road.
What was the yellow flag for?
Is there a yellow out?
Looks to be, yeah.
Sure enough, we have a yellow flag. I'm not sure what it's for.
It just as soon as Colton ducked down pit road, I saw the yellow flag. Don't know what it was for either.
Sure enough, it is out. I don't see any drivers on track with any damage. Never mind, I spoke too soon. We have Ryan Tripp in the 28 with huge damage on the front bumper of that car. Go ahead and take a look. It's like a solo incident coming out of turn 4, just loses the end of the car, locks them up, and smokes the inside wall. And drifts back up the track, which causes the caution to be thrown. Unfortunate for Colton Gardner as he just came to pit road and just had to keep rolling. Didn't elect to get tires to stay on the lead lap, so he will have to pit this next time by. And just pretty much gave up his second place position to the 61 of Chris Fuge. As the drivers now come down pit road to get a fresh set of Goodyear Eagles. We'll have to see who's got the best pit stop here.
Yeah, I believe Colton will get back up there, but that's going to give Dawson the advantage here.
Yes, it will, and a huge advantage too is that number 1 pit stall. As long as nobody slides through their box, we'll see great pit stops from all 3 of the drivers on the lead lap. But that number 1 pit stall definitely pays dividends. All the more reason why qualifying is so important, especially when the field is as tight as it is between these top 2 competitors. '18 does get rolling first, but the 8 does beat the 61 off pit road. Gonna have about a 22-23 lap shootout for the end of this thing, so we got tires, might as well use them up. We'll see what these drivers can do on the shorter run. The track has gotten noticeably darker, not only with the rubber being laid down, but also the outside environment as well as the sun continues to set. Expect the lap times to pick up. I would not be surprised if we see the fastest laps of the race here within the next 2 or 3 laps.
Oh, definitely. And I was wondering about the tire thing as well. If there is another caution, I know Dawson stopped in that first pit stop. I don't know if he took tires at that time or he still got a set saved.
That's a great question. A question I never asked. I heard we had unlimited fast repairs. I never went and asked if we had unlimited tires. So maybe you can answer that for us.
Yeah, we had 8 sets to start plus the set we started on. So
I'm not sure how many they have left. We'll go ahead though, and pace lights are off. I don't want to grab anyone for an interview quite yet. I'd hate to screw them up on the restart, so
yeah,
let them sit as they are. Pace lights are off, but there's several cars that are a couple laps down. Looks like Jacob Barker right now. Take a look at him. He is hauling tail right now to try to get back to the cars before we go green. Appears there's only 4 cars on the lead lap. And only 4 cars on track. As they take the restart zone, Dawson Buchanan with a great launch. Does have the 8 clear, with the 61 behind them side by side with the 8. The 8 didn't seem to have the best of restarts. The 61 does get the 8 clear. As the drivers work off the backstretch, entering turn 3. '18 has the advantage right now. Clean air seems to be king as well, just to have that clean air and the good downforce in the front of your car. Just can't make any mistakes. Right now, the 18 car's best friend is the 61 as he continues to fight with the 8 for that second place position.
I believe Colton's got him cleared now.
The 8 does have the 61 cleared. We'll have to see if the 8 can get back in.
Lead.
We'll have to see, if the 8 can get back in a positive rhythm, as the 18 just fired off the fastest lap of the race. My prediction came true. Still only a 6/10 of a second lead right now, give or take, between first and second place, with about 5/10 separating second from third. The 8 car running that much faster preferred top groove, which is probably the preferred strategy this late in the run, as he did just fire off the fastest lap of the race that last time by. We'll have to see if the 8 can maintain this fast pace for the next 20 or so laps. 20 exactly laps, as he continues to pull on the 18 car. He maintained that last time by, but the gap is still only about 4/10. Colton seems to be diving the car a lot deeper into the corner, but that does allow the 18 to get a little bit better drive off. But overall, still a net positive gain for the 8 car. You have to imagine that those tires are going through it with how deep the 8's diving into the corner of that right front. How much life will it have in it by the end of this run?
I've never known Colton to much drive the right fronts off of his vehicles, but he seems to get it to transfer over into his right rear real good. So maybe he is gaining on Dawson, looks like.
He is gaining quite a bit, but you have to wonder. One thing he was complaining about earlier in the race was that car run, at least earlier in the sun, was running tight. He was hoping that it would loosen up over the long run, which it did seem to do this last time by, but is 20 laps going to be enough of a run for him to have something for Dawson at the end? We'll see. Offense versus defense whenever this thing gets down to the end. As Dawson has returned back to his bread and butter of just wrapping that bottom line to try to conserve as much tire as he can. Don't want to have too much wheel spin. Coming out of turn 4, want to make sure you keep your tires underneath you. Gap's maintained by about 4/10 right now.
It probably took a lot of tire for Colton to catch up to him, so he may be backing off, cooling down just a little bit.
That would be my guess as well, but it's almost a mind game of sorts to decide when do you need to start pushing, because the 18 does scrape the wall a little bit there on exit, but can't let him get too far ahead of you to make sure you still have enough tire to catch him at the end. But it's a fine line to play, especially as we come close to about 10 laps to go. We're in about 3 or 4 laps, or really 5 laps, but
With the closest they are, I believe Colton could wait till about lap 7 to go before he started pushing it. Unless they get in another side-by-side battle like they did there a little while ago.
I definitely agree with that. We'll have to see as the 8 car, if he does close the gap to the 18, will the 18 stay to the bottom of the track, or will he start ripping the fence and try to pull away again? The only concern there for the 18 is the last time he tried ripping the fence, he hit the wall a couple times whenever he was trying to catch the 8, which only caused that gap to increase. So it's a fine line, high risk, high reward when it comes to running the top line here at Homestead-Miami. Closest battle right now is actually for that 3rd position, as Christopher Fuge is about 2/10, less than 2/10 away from Jacob Barker. As right now he's looking to the inside of the 2 car. 2 car though does a great job of ripping the fence as he clears him. 2 car slots right in front of the 61. 61 has to check up, not just rear end the 2 and spin them around. That does allow the 2 to put a decent gap. The biggest one he's felt for a while, which is only 2/10, but 61 does seem to be a little bit faster. Want to see as the 2 car does pull away by about a car length there after ripping the fence successfully. So 61 now moves to a higher line. One takes a dive back to the inside of the 2. 2 with the momentum on the top, as long as he doesn't scrub the wall, should have the momentum to carry himself forward. He does, not quite as much as he did this last time. But still does remain ahead of the 61. The 2 and the 61 are now side by side exiting 2.
Are those two on the lead lap?
They are, yes. They're both. There's 4 cars in the lead lap. It's also the only 4 cars on track. And the 61 slides right in front of the 2 to steal 3rd place from him. Textbook slide job right there. Those 2, though, are 3 seconds behind the front 2.
And it looks like Dawson's opened up about a second lead.
He's pulled about. The gap is continuing to increase. Scoring pylon has it at 1.8 as it sits. Coming out of turn 4. A little loose there coming out of 4 though. Have to wonder if his car's handling's starting to go a little bit. Gap is almost 2 seconds now, but about 8-9 laps left.
I was afraid that Colton would use a little bit up, trying to catch him early on.
All the other gaps have kind of steadied out. Colton is now 2.2 seconds this last time by. As we have 7 laps to go.
Yeah, if Colton's got any in the tank, he needs to let her out now.
Couldn't agree more if I was him. Not that I have half the skill he does driving any sort of car, but if I was a crew chief, I'd be yelling at him right now to start ripping that fence and see what this car's got left in it, to see if he can't carry some momentum and break into that 2.4 second gap. The 4 car continues to just run that bottom line. Hasn't really moved away from it quite yet. He continues to wrap that white line, drifts up a little bit right there. Makes me want to believe the car's starting to run a little tight. .5 seconds still to gap. And then another 3 seconds back to 3rd place. With the 2nd back to 4th. Chris Fuge has continued to pull away from Jacob Barker that last time by about a 10th of a second faster. Looks like Colton Gardner has moved his way to the higher side of the racetrack, started ripping the fence. We'll have to see if that helps him shrink the gap. His back end of that car is definitely a little wobbly. You have to wonder if it just doesn't quite have the turn in that it needs to grip the fence quite like you'd want it to. A lot can happen in 2.9 seconds. 2.9 seconds is the gap, but a lot can still happen with 4 laps to go. Caution could change everything. Driver mistake could change everything, and both of those two things are very common at a track like Homestead. We have 3 laps to go. Gap is about 3 seconds. Two laps to go this next time by. If you're the 18 car, you are looking for that white flag to make sure you can't get stolen in overtime.
You know, as hard as they've been driving, I'm sure their cars are wore out right now.
I'm sure the cars are worn out. I'm sure their bodies are pretty worn out too. So a lot of laps to get knocked out, but it's for a great cause, and we're happy that Smoky Mountain and all the group at FR Racing and Stadium Scene TV were able to pull this together. As we have 1 lap to go, white flag is out. .6 seconds is the gap and climbing. If you're the 18, you just got to bring her home in one piece at this point. No mistakes going into turn 3 or 4. Easy does it. He's going to do it. The 18 takes a checkered flag at Homestead-Miami. Excellent drive from the front two to stay in it all race long. Saw a lot of different strategies play out, both with short pits and run the race long. When to take tires, when not to. Untimely caution forced Colton Gardner to start from the 3rd position. You have to wonder if that was the deciding factor and whether there's a chance to win. As the 18 car burns it down in the M&M's Chevrolet.
John, thanks for letting me talk with you this evening. I'll let you take care of the winners and everything.
Of course, sounds good.
Good evening.
Good evening to you as well. I appreciate you stopping by the broadcast booth.
Thanks for everything done.
And that will do it for our 400 miles, 267 laps here at Homestead-Miami as the drivers get lined up for their photo. Beautiful sight to see. As we kick it off to our top 3 as Dawson figures out how to parallel park. A little bit of a struggle, but he'll eventually get there. We'll go ahead and start with our 3rd place finisher. Chris Fuge, kind of an up and down night, all things considered. There's some highs, there's some lows, but overall come down on the 3rd place spot on the podium. At what point were you thinking, okay, this might be possible towards the end of the 2nd run?
Yeah, we had that real long run there, and I was looking at like 10 laps of fuel, and I was waiting for which my car was awesome on the long run. I loved it. But I mean, I was just waiting on Colton and Dawson to pit. I wasn't sure how much fuel they had left, and Colton came down. Once I saw Colton come down, I took P2, and I was like, all right, maybe I can wait Dawson out, but caution flew, and it just didn't quite work out, but I was hoping that maybe some strategy would give me a fighting chance.
Still a solid run nonetheless. Talk about the mindset you have to put yourself in whenever your first run. It's a little up and down to say the least, but to rally back to a 3rd place finish, what kind of mindset do you have to be in to accomplish that?
I just had to keep reminding myself that we're running 400 miles. I mean, I completely forgot. I mean, this is probably the longest sim race I've ever ran. Wednesday Night Dash, we're running 40, 50 laps, stuff like that. So I just had to keep telling myself, it's a long race. We got 400 miles. The track's going to change. The car's going to change, So just, and, hey, I'm here for fun. We're not racing for points, not racing for a championship, nothing like that. We're having fun. We're putting money to charity. That's all that really mattered.
Whole lot of fun was had for a great cause nonetheless. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we kick it off to 2nd place?
Yeah, DJ and Eric for letting us use Stadium Scene. You for biting the bullet and broadcasting for us again. We appreciate that. Everybody that showed up tonight. Um, let's see. Outlier Speed Company set up shop. They just came on to the big sponsor for SMR, so gotta give them thanks every chance we get. They're gonna help us out a lot with our other leagues. And everybody that does, everybody that sponsors us along the way, personal sponsors, team sponsors, league sponsors. I mean, yeah, we get on here and we play our little video game, but it feels like it makes it a whole lot more worth it when there's people that support us.
It's always nice to have those people behind the scenes that get stuff done. And with that, we'll kick it over to your second, with your SMR teammate, Colton Gardner. Colton, it's a great race there at the end. Unfortunately, the caution came out probably at the worst time possible. Do you think if that caution came out maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later, you'd be set up on the restart a little bit better, or was just, yeah, just talk me through what you were thinking when that caution flew.
I knew it was over when the caution flew. Um, because equal tires, Dawson had me beat. But I was hoping to short pit him there for at least a couple laps and maybe try and stretch a little bit of a gap and then try and have some dirty air to play with on that last run. But caution come out, that happens. Yeah, car come to me the whole daggum race, and it was a lot of fun.
Looking at that last restart, is there anything you could have done differently? I don't know if there was any communication with the 61 there as a teammate. Is there anything you could have done differently, or is kind of that's how you thought it was going to play out?
I shouldn't have spun my tires. Yeah, if I hadn't spun my tires, maybe I could have got side by side with Dawson into one and got a bite off the corner like a couple restarts before that. Um, but I spun the tires and fell back to third and was not able to come back from that.
Nonetheless, a great showing. A lot of laps logged in this Gen 4 car. Is there any silver lining? Is there anything you can take from your experience here tonight and apply to your Wednesday night dash season?
I feel like whenever we come across tracks that the setups are going to be relatively loose, I think it's going to help a lot of us be able to handle the car better off the corners and not feel as sketchy. Because the biggest thing is anticipating what the car does off corners, and hopefully that can help after doing this league or this race. That and the biggest thing to learn from this car is just be patient on the long run. And I know with Wednesday Night Dash we have a little bit shorter runs, but you can try and manage the tires still with what runs we get.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we kick it off to the winner?
I want to thank Smoky Mountain Racing for everything that everything that everybody behind the scenes does. I want to thank Stadium Scene, DJ Eric, for allowing us to be able to put this on for the second time. Hopefully we did them good, and can't wait to do it again in the future. I want to thank Jacob Barker for putting this all together. He's worked a lot behind the scenes on trying to get all of it just working. We had one failed event before this that we just could not recruit enough people, and we had a pretty decent crowd tonight, which is really good. But Jacob, he's been doing a lot behind the scenes and been the one to really push what we're doing here. And shout out to French Broad and Fire and Rescue, Outlier Speed Co. Victory Fuel, First Form, all my partners, everybody that's a part of it. team sponsors and driver. And thank you for doing this long broadcast. You sound really tired.
I had a couple beers to keep me company, so there are worse ways to spend your Saturday night. But anytime, I don't mind doing it.
Yes, sir.
And with that, we'll kick it over to our winner of the race, Dawson Buchanan in the number 18. Used to call him the number 4, but driving the 18 tonight, M&M's Chevrolet. A lot of strategy involved tonight. You kind of had to short pit sometimes, run it long other times. Tell me how the car was feeling, especially on those longer runs whenever you were battling the 8.
Yes, well, the first few runs that we ran, it stayed pretty loose throughout, most of the run, and that one run one run when Colton got in front of me there towards the second half of the race, it like flipped and just got so tight immediately, and it was the weirdest thing ever. But that was a ton of fun racing Colton side by side there too. But yeah, just trying to keep up with the changes in the track and all the other small things that can go wrong when you're racing for 3.5 hours.
Going off of that, your kind of trademark move is to just get the most out of running the bottom line of the track, trying to wrap that white line. But a lot of times tonight, we saw you have to run the fence a couple times, even grazing it, losing time on the 8 car. How uncomfortable is it for you to have to change what you're used to whenever it comes to running different lines, especially on an ever-changing track with ever-changing temperatures?
What a question, Miles. Well, I guess Homestead, I'm used to running the top there occasionally. It's one of the lines that you'll run in qualifying in some cars and whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely a little intimidating getting up there close to the wall. But especially like that run I was talking about where I was getting real tight, I think it helped loosen the car up a little bit running up there and being on the right rear so much. But yeah, it's definitely not something that I'd like to do every race, so I'll stick to the bottom.
Stick to the bottom, but nonetheless, come home a race winner here at Homestead-Miami. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we kick it off to the coordinator, Jacob Barker?
Yeah, I'll say thanks to Jacob and Colton and whoever else helped put all this race. I mean, it was a ton of fun. It's definitely the longest race I've ever done on iRacing. So, and thank you to you, Miles, for broadcasting and fixing me up a scheme last minute. It was definitely nice to drive the 18 for once. Sorry to the 4 camp, but yeah.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to race here tonight with us and provide a good performance for everyone to enjoy. And with that, we will kick it off to the coordinator of this event, Jacob Barker. Any last words for us?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for not only participating in the event. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. Sponsors, obviously, Moza, W Energy Formula, Turtle Beach Headsets, SMR, BRR. We had a really good this week within the team, and this event. It was definitely a success. I think we were expecting it to be obviously a little more of a turn up, but with what we've gotten today, we're definitely satisfied and happy. I want to thank you, John, for helping us with this, doing the broadcast. DJ, Eric. DJ's had a rough week this week, so just wanted to tell him that we're thinking of him and hope to see him on the track. I'll see him on the track on Tuesday at St. Petersburg in the IRWS. And I'm proud to announce that we are coordinating a new event. We are aiming for this event to be at the end of July this year, and it's not a little bit different than what we've done. We're leaning towards an all-star race type of race where obviously, much like in the Cup Series, winner gets the big check at the end of the race. We will just take all the proceeds and the entry fees, and the winner will get all the proceeds that have been raised through the entry fees. So that is something that we are looking to do at the end of July. If you are interested, please do not hesitate to reach out to not only myself or Colton and even Chris on Discord, and we would love to have as many people as we can for that event. We're going to try out some things and testing, and if we like it, we're going to do it for the All-Star race. And yeah, it's going to be a good time when we get this taken care of in July. Yeah, I think that's about it. Connor for giving me a beautiful paint scheme last minute as well. And like I said, everyone who participated and tuned in, really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and with that, for anyone watching back at home, if you do want to donate, there is a link in the description. Feel free to give that a look. We appreciate everyone for tuning in, like Jacob said, both behind the scenes and in person. Thank you to all the drivers that competed tonight. Thank you to Stadium Scene TV for broadcasting tonight as well. And with that, that wraps up our presentation of the SMR and Blue Ridge Racing 16 Forever Gen 4 race at Homestead, Miami. Thank you all for joining us tonight. This has been John Miles, signing off.